Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to another Marvel Contest of Champions video, I guess you could call it. I guess it is a Marvel Contest of Champions video, but I'm not actually playing it, I'm just going over the synergies. Anyway, so, yeah, welcome back to the channel. I've not done a video in a while. I think the last video I did was talking about Black Clover mobile beta. I didn't get into that, so therefore there is no content of Black Clover mobile coming anytime soon, because I think it comes out in early 2023, like February time. But anyway, this isn't the video for that. This is not what we're supposed to be talking about. But before I continue with the video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more Marvel Contest of Champions content and gaming content. In general, I may switch up. I think I'm going to stick with Marvel Contest of Champions for now. Unless I feel like branching out, but I think we'll stick with Marvel Contest of Champions. Anyway, so in today's video, actually getting onto the subject, what we're supposed to be doing. So I have basically come up with, my top 10 synergies so far in the game as of 2022. Hence, top 10 synergies 2022, if I can speak English, which may be slightly useful because we've got a lot to get through. Let me just move this mic a second. There we go. Right, let's get started. So, first synergy, and this isn't in any particular order, by the way. So, first synergy is the Ghost Synergy team, right? And I've decided to put the interactions between the different champions here. So, let me just read them out. There'll be a few, right? But this is just going to be useful for people who are maybe beginning in the game, or they're not sure what synergies to use, or maybe the champions aren't doing any damage, and they want to boost up their roster, see who to rank up, who has better interactions with who, and who has better counters for what. So, first of all, we got the Ghost Synergy team, right? So, with Ghost and Hood, Ghost takes no damage whilst phasing, which is absolutely amazing. So you can tank special 3s whilst you're phasing. You'll still be phasing afterwards, and you carry on with life as normal. With her Awakened ability, you gain power whilst you phase attacks. So if you do tank a special attack by just phasing through it, you will gain power very quickly and get to your special 2 very quickly, which I'll get onto. And for Hood starts the fight invisible, which I guess is quite useful because you don't have to dash back and take potentially a lot of block damage, depending on where you are in terms of content. Because you could be in Act 8, you don't really want to be taking block damage in Act 8. Although I don't know who's taking Hood into Act 8 unless they're using it for the Ghost Synergy. Anyway, so we have Ghost and Wasp. Now, I've decided to put the Ghost, Ant-Man, and Wasp synergy in there because I was a bit worried I would run out of space, which I didn't end up running out of space, actually. But anyway, so with Ghost, Ant-Man, and Wasp, you gain plus 25% attack when all members of the synergy are in the team, which is perfect for Ghost. It's increasing her damage output even more. It's really good for Wasp as well because she gets her crits. I don't know much about Ant-Man, so I won't presume to know. But also, before I continue, if any of you guys have any more suggestions for synergies and synergy champions, leave it in the comments below. It will be extremely helpful for people who are coming to this video to try and find out what synergies to use, who to use, and stuff like that. So if you found some miracle synergy, if you found a synergy that's worked for you, do leave it in the comments below. And let me know what synergies you think I should have included, maybe shouldn't have included. Some controversial opinions, if I can speak English. So yeah, just leave some comments, let me know what you think. But yeah, so Wasp's counter sting is never disabled while she's below 20% health. This is a very high risk, high reward situation here. Because ideally you don't want to be proccing the counter sting because it's not a 100% chance to occur. And when you're below 20% health, I mean, Wasp has terrible health anyway, so if you're below 20% health, it can come in clutch, I suppose, but you don't want to rely on it, is what I'm saying. But it's good that it's not disabled because then it can activate multiple times. It's just the chance of that happening is relatively low. We've got Ant-Man gains Fury passives each time he glances a hit, increasing attack by 25% for 12 seconds, with a maximum of 3 stacks, right? So you've got potential 75% damage increase for 12 seconds. That is very nice. Whilst glancing hits. Again, know nothing about Ant-Man. Won't presume to know anything. Maybe you got some Ant-Man experts watching the video who would enlighten me as to how that works, and how to activate that in the comment section. And also, Ghost special attacks are unblockable whilst phasing when she is with Wasp, which is perfect because you don't have to worry about the defensive AI. All you do is you dash back, quickly throw a special 2, and you basically just do a shit ton of damage, is all I can say. Now, Ghost and Ant-Man. Ghost gains plus 15% attack for each buff on her. Now, this includes the Fury buffs and the Cruelty buffs that she gets. So if she gets... Because she gains Fury buffs on her heavy attack, which is increasing her attack anyway. Cruelty is increasing her critical damage rating anyway. And she gets precision by just attacking, I think. And she gets guaranteed crits anyway. So she's boosting her crit damage and her base damage. And then this is increasing it on top of modified attack. So the damage is just through the roof here, which is why the synergy is so good. She takes no damage, purifies all debuffs, or all damaging debuffs, and she just has insane damage, and she's unblockable. And here, another one for Ant-Man. Ant-Man doubles the number of pin particles gained, and fatigue debuffs applied by the special one. So, again, more attack, I guess. This is basically just an attack synergy. I've also noticed that all the damage is enhanced by aptitude from Odin's pre-fight. If you activate Odin's pre-fight and you put the aptitude, it's going to boost Ghost's critical damage and her Fury potency and a Cruelty potency as well. It's also going to boost Wasp's critical damage as well, and it's going to boost those Furies that Ant-Man would be getting from his synergy. So that is a very, very nice combination there. It's not part of the synergy, it's very, very useful to have. So even if you have a 3-star Odin and you want to chuck him in there to put in the pre-fight, that is a perfect way to get through it. And Odin's pretty good himself anyway. I think we'll come on to that later, but there we go. Right. Domino Trinity. Domino Team Synergy. Right. Everyone's going on about it. There's a reason for it. And we'll go through it now. So Domino and Massacre. So Domino's debuffs last 1 second longer. Now 1 second longer doesn't seem too long, but it does mean you can get I'm trying to think, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, I think about a 10 hit combo off of one parry. So it does mean that you can get a lot more hits. It's much easier to do your heavy attacks, which I'll get into in a second, and it just makes it a lot easier to play. And when you're getting your lucky procs or putting the unlucky on the opponent, if they're stunned for longer, there's a higher chance that you're going to inflict an instant bleed or a bleed effect, and that is going to last 1 second longer as well, which is just, it's 2 ticks more damage, and that can be the difference between winning and losing, especially if it's a critical bleed. Anyway, so that is more useful than it sounds. Massacre gains between 1 and 5 ignition charges at the beginning of a fight and when ignited expires, which is very nice for the ramp up. It means you don't have to start all the way back from 0 and then try and get the opponent to block and then keep going. It just means you do a couple of hits, you're back at ignited, and you get your damage, and you incinerate your disorient and your bleed from special ones as well. And you're countering any regeneration the opponent may have as well, because of the amount of debuffs you're going to apply to them, and regularly as well. So that is really useful for Massacre. Everyone talks about these synergies in terms of Domino, but it is actually really useful for Massacre and does make Red Hulk slightly better. Moving on to Red Hulk. So Domino and Red Hulk. Domino's heavy attacks inflict and incinerate dealing damage equal to that heavy attack's damage over 2 seconds. Now, this becomes 3 seconds with the Massacre synergy, which is why it's ideal to have the three in the team, which hence what it's called the Trinity, Domino Trinity team. And so you do insane amounts of incinerate damage. You've got instant bleeds, you've got increased stuns, and a chance for you to get the perfect stun off of your combo anyway. So that's a possible stun chain lock. And she just, the damage just goes off. She becomes insane. So highly recommend that for quest clearing. And the Ghost synergy I would also recommend for, exploring and completing quests. It won't really work in... I guess it would sort of work in Alliance War and Alliance Quest. You can only have 3 champions, so I would probably miss out Ant-Man and then just go with Wasp and Hood. But are you going to use those 2 as well is the question. But anyway, both of these, really good. And this Trinity you can definitely use for Alliance Quest, Alliance War. Also, Red Hulk Special 2 Regeneration consumes 1 less heat charge, which means obviously you can get more regeneration more frequently. And it recovers 18% more health, which is just more utility on the healing, basically. Now, with Massacre and Red Hulk, they have synergies with each other. So when blocking an attack while ignited, Massacre places an Incinerate on the opponent. So you're doing more Incinerate damage whilst you're blocking attacks. So when you get a parry or something, or if you block a special attack. Ideally you want to avoid blocking attacks, because you take a lot of block damage. But if you do have... I think it's Heimdall and Odin, and then you dash back and hold block, you get a perfect block chance. But I don't know if that's just with Odin or not. But you can just put Guardian in the team and increase your block proficiency a crud ton. So that's really helpful there. Red Hulk starts the fight with 2 heat charges, which just makes his ramp up even quicker, gets his damage quicker, and allows him to access either the Incinerate from the Special 3 or the healing from the Special 2 quicker. Basically, it just makes his playstyle a bit easier and a bit quicker to use. So, that's a Domino synergy. So next we have, now I've split this into 2. So I've split it into Apocalypse's main synergies and then the Horsemen of Apocalypse synergies. Now bear with me here, right? So, and I'm counting this as 2 separate synergies because the main synergies pretty much only benefit Apocalypse, and then the Horsemen of Apocalypse synergies don't benefit him at all, only the champions that he has a synergy with. So, the main synergies, let's go on with it. Apocalypse has a solo synergy where he gains 15% attack rating for each mutant on the team excluding himself. So if you have a full mutant team, good luck if you're coming up against Tex. That's why you always got to scout the path first before you go in. But if you've got a full mutant team, Apocalypse is just going to have an insane amount of attack, especially with the Cable synergy, which is what we're getting onto now. So, Apocalypse can Cable and Mr. Sinister. Right. Those are the champions in this synergy. So, Apocalypse starts the fight in a quest with maximum genetic code. So, he has maximum genetic code, which means he has the 4 persistent charges stacked, which means he starts off with 4 prowess passives, which increase your special damage rating by a certain amount. I think it's like 50% or something. It's like 200% increased special attack damage. On top of, 15% attack rating for each mutant on the team, excluding himself. So that's another 4 times 15, that's 60. So that's 260% attack added on to your base attack for your special attack. So that's really good. It also means he can hit through blocks, so you can do a light attack into the block and it will stun the opponent. So that is very useful as well. Also, the reason I don't have the camera on, like the face cam, is because I don't want to cover the text. So if anyone's just wanting to scroll through this video, not here to listen to me ramble on in the background, you can just flick through, and I won't have to move the camera or anything. It just makes life easier. So hopefully that's all right. Right, so every 4 seconds, Kang gains an indefinite fury buff, granting 20% attack rating with a maximum of 20 stacks. Now this is what? It has a maximum of 400% attack rating. That's added onto your base attack. So I don't think Kang has insane attack. So that's probably why you need so many fury buffs, and they're indefinite as well. And it caps at 20 stacks. I don't know how many stacks you would get in a normal fight, in your average fight, because I don't have Kang, so I've not used him. But that seems like a pretty good synergy to have, and it would boost the power burn damage on the special too. So, and you can get the special one lock, I guess. You get a stun lock on the special one. So I guess that helps. But likelihood is, if people don't know about Apocalypse and their synergies, they probably won't have a Kang. Is my logic. I don't know if that's right or not. Correct me in the comments below. Mr. Sinister's degeneration debuffs gain plus 50% potency. So if you're using the special one, which you rarely do with Mr. Sinister, you get additional degen potency. It's alright. It's not great. It's not really much to say about that. You usually use the concussion and the stun off the special 2, and then you can charge the heavy attacks, pause and refresh the debuffs on the opponent, and then go for special 3. But I mean, if you want to get rid of any damage over time debuffs on you quickly, throw off the special 1. You get the damage over time debuffs on the opponent, and you get the degen as well with boosted damage. So that's handy, I guess. Cable's incinerate debuffs from the special 2, I'm assuming, gain plus 150% potency. So that's a lot more damage off the incinerate. And also a lot of block proficiency reduction. People forget, incinerate reduces your block proficiency by 50%. So it's got 150% additional potency. That's 200% reduction to your block proficiency, which is insane. Each heavy attack also inflicts a degeneration, and the stack limit is removed. So you have infinite degeneration stacks, and you can just keep throwing off heavy attacks, and you can just cheese fights that way. So if you're taking anything from these Apocalypse main synergies, bring Apocalypse and Cable. I don't usually bother with Mr. Sinister, but you can bring him for this reason here. So Mr. Sinister with all mutants on the team. So all mutants randomly start the fight with either plus 25 passive attack rating, plus 25% passive power rate, or plus 25% passive armor rating, which can be handy. I guess the power rate is probably the better one to go for, because seeing as special attacks are like the mutant sort of forte, you want to get to the special attacks, that's where the damage is. But I suppose passive attack rating for damage over time debuffs and things like that would be helpful. Armor's good for longevity and survivability, so that's always handy anyway. Right. Now this one's a long one. So this is the Apocalypse Horseman Synergies, right? Also, if I've abbreviated it, if I've got HOA, it's Horseman of Apocalypse. Just note that, because I had no space to write that down. But anyway, so let me get on with this, because this is a long one. So Apocalypse and Storm. Each hit of a heavy attack into a shocked opponent has a 60% chance to inflict an additional shock debuff, dealing 70% of modified attack over 8 seconds. There is no limit to this, by the way. You get infinite shocks doing 70% of modified attack over 8 seconds, and they stack, right? But as Horseman of Apocalypse, shock effects last 50% longer, and heavy attacks refresh all shock debuffs on the opponent. So you're infinitely stacking and refreshing your shock debuffs on your opponent to insane levels of damage. If you take Apocalypse, Cable, and Storm into Realm of Legends, and you use the Apocalypse pre-fight on Storm, you will see some damage. This is very satisfying. Right, Apocalypse with Storm Pyramid X, right? So after charging her dormant prowess, Storm has a 70% chance to trigger a passive prowess for each prowess buff that is already active, increasing special damage by 15% for 6 seconds. Now 15% doesn't look like a lot, But if you've already got prowess buffs active, and then that's increasing the chance for you to get even more prowess buffs, and that's just going to stack and stack and stack. You're going to have an insane amount of prowess. I like even 10 prowess, right? Even 10 prowess stacks would be 150% increased special damage. So, and then she crits. She's basically got guaranteed crits on her special attacks at that point. So she's insane. But that's without Horseman of Apocalypse. With the Horseman of Apocalypse synergy, she gains a 30% critical rating and 20% prowess potency, increasing your damage even more. It's basically a one shot. It's ridiculous. So do try these out for it, even if it's just for fun, because you may just come across a certain node in Cavalier Event Quest, or Act 6, Act 7, Act 8, Act 5, something like that. Some the more tricky sort of content in the game, and I suppose you could use it in Arena as well if you want an easy win. So yeah, those two are very good. This one I'm not too sure about, right? Apocalypse and Psylocke. Psylocke's basic attacks have a 30% chance to grant a psi charge, granting plus 5% critical rating. It's alright. Her crit damage is good. 30% chance is quite low. If you get caught as well, the side charges are converted into a power gain buff for the opponent, so that is not great either. And Psylocke has no health, so. But as a Horseman of Apocalypse, she gains 50% critical damage rating and 50% attack rating while striking opponents at 0 power. So if you use the special one combo and you power lock them at 0 power, you do get a lot of damage off. So that's very niche, and you got to make sure you don't get hit. Apocalypse and Gambit. Now this is insane. So each time Gambit gains a kinetic charge, whilst he's blocking, over time he gains kinetic charges, maximum stack of 10. There's a 70% chance to gain an additional one, with a cooldown of 8 seconds. Now, this is insane because he can convert his 10 kinetic charges into a heavy attack, into a prowess with a heavy attack, sorry. And throwing a special attack pauses your debuff. So what you can do is you can charge up to 10 kinetic charges, parry the opponent, charge a heavy attack, go straight into the special 2. If that doesn't kill somehow, the opponent's done straight after, so you could just go straight in. It's absolutely perfect. But as a Horseman of Apocalypse, each kinetic charge grants plus 10% perfect block chance. I don't know why that's got backwards slash there. Ignore that. I don't know if I can edit that actually. Can I edit that? Don't know if I can edit that. I could put it as a slideshow, but I don't want to mess with it. Anyway, just ignore that. So, and this stacks up to a maximum of 100%. So, 100% block chance, perfect block chance, meaning you're not taking any block damage at all, really. Apocalypse and Wolverine. Wolverine's personal bleeds have a chance based on critical rating to be critical bleed, dealing damage based on critical damage rating. And as Horseman of Apocalypse, he gains additional critical rating and critical damage rating, basically. That is very useful. I don't know who's been ranking up their Wolverines, though. Their base Wolverine. It's not a massive thing. Apocalypse and Archangel is the one I use the most often. It's really helpful. Archangel's really good on his own, but with Apocalypse is an absolute beast. So each hit of Archangel's heavy attacks into a stunned opponent has 10% chance to pause all neurotoxins for 3 seconds, right? So that's applying more damage to your opponent, whilst you can build up those stacks of neurotoxin. Also means that, you don't lose them as quickly, but it can come in clutch when they do finally unpause, and they stun the opponent. It can give you a chance to get back in the fight. As a Horseman of Apocalypse, his neurotoxin stun duration is increased by 30%, which is a game changer, basically. It allows you to, do more hits in your combo, get more of your power meter, and then throw off your special attacks and get those poisons, get those bleeds, get those neurotoxins, and get the damage, which you're also pausing with your heavy attacks and you're refreshing at times, I think, somewhere. I thought it was refresh. I'm thinking of someone else. Anyway. Yep, so that's the Horseman of Apocalypse synergies, right? So we got Nick Fury synergies now. We're getting there, don't worry. So Nick Fury has a solo synergy. All heroes except Nick gain 10% attack rating, and this is doubled if Nick is dead. Right. So you basically want to use Nick as a glass cannon, and then if he dies, the rest of the champions on the team are getting a 20% attack boost. Now, with Nick Fury, Deadpool, X-Force, Deadpool, and Goldpool, all champions except Nick, once per fight, when receiving a bleed, poison, or shock debuff, Nick will drop a restoration kit, purifying the debuff and regenerating 10% of their max health over 3 seconds if Nick is alive. So Nick has to be alive for this. So if you're wanting to use that, if you see a node and Caltrops or something, and you accidentally dash back, you need Nick alive for that restoration kit, right? Nick Fury and Quake or Ant-Man, for all champions except Nick, this is a very useful synergy. If you haven't got your parry timings down yet, or you're worried about evading special attacks, definitely use this synergy here. If you're worried about taking too much damage in later content, also use this synergy. Very good for quest clearing. For all champs except Nick, if Nick is alive, the first 3 hits thrown by the opponent have a 100% chance to be evaded. It does not trigger while blocking or dashing back, which is very good, because we always used to have the problem with Spider-Man's Awakened ability, Spider-Man Classic, where you would parry the opponent and he would evade, and it would completely throw you off and you just die. So that's not an issue with this synergy, which is perfect. Nick Fury in Black Panther or Black Panther Civil War. For all champions except Nick Fury, if Nick Fury is alive, when the fight starts, he grants his teammates a buff, doubling their critical rating for 10 seconds. Nice little damage boost there. Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, or Captain Marvel movie. I don't know why I said that so quickly, but anyway. For all champions, if Nick is alive, all Fury buffs have a 20% increased duration, including his own, which is very useful if you're trying to go for that Fury in the first in the decoy phase. And it's also very useful for Captain Marvel movie. Nick Fury and Civil Warrior or Punisher 2099, Iron Man or Iron Man Infinity War, for all champions except Nick if Nick is alive, once per fight, when a teammate is inflicted with a cold snap, frostbite or incinerate effect, he will drop an extreme conditions kit, granting debuff immunity for 10 seconds. This is very useful for quite a lot of scenarios actually. So if you're worried about taking too much damage from cold snap from an Iceman and he's a Cavalier boss, bringing this synergy, it will help a lot. It will basically just get rid of it and sort all your problems for you. Nick Fury and Loki or Scarlet Witch, for all champions except Nick Fury if Nick is alive, once per fight, when a teammate is inflicted with an effect that would reduce or block their power, he will drop a power kit, removing the effect and granting 1 bar of power over 10 seconds. So this is very useful against magics and Nimrods and I'm trying to think of else. Infamous Iron Man, I guess, as well, to an extent. If you have any power lock, power burn, power drain, power steal sort of thing, you instantly gain a bar of power over 10 seconds with this synergy, so it's very useful. Nick Fury synergies aren't overly... They're not extremely OP, but they are very, very helpful in a lot of scenarios, so they're very good to look out for, basically. Right. This is where it starts to get a bit controversial. Now, I really like Scorpion. This is based off my preferences, right? This is off my roster, so what I've experienced. Now, take this with a grain of salt, pinch of salt, whatever. However the saying goes. This isn't gospel, basically. This is just one guy's opinion on the best synergies so far that we have. Of course, I've just limited it to 10. Of course, there are so many synergies that are really useful. These are the ones that I found that came to mind, and I thought I would share these ones for those who aren't aware of them, perhaps, or not sure who to rank up. So, Scorpion and Iceman. Scorpion's final hit of the Special 2 attack inflicts a stun debuff on the opponent, stunning them for 3 seconds. This is quite useful because you can go in and get even more of your sting debuffs on the opponent straight after your power sting and burst damage on the special 2. And if you hold your heavy attack before the special 2, you inflict the not wither debuffs, I forget what they're called, but they allow your sting debuffs to last longer. So if you could go straight in afterwards with that stun, that would be perfect. And Iceman gains critical rating for each active frostbite passive on the opponent. Don't think that helps too much, but I guess it's additional damage. Scorpion and Spider-Man 2099. If Scorpion's sense is active and Scorpion is stunned, Scorpion's evade ability accuracy is increased to 100%. That's very useful in Battlegrounds or something like that. Well, not Battlegrounds, in Alliance War, Alliance Quest. Can't really use Synergies in Battlegrounds, but Alliance War and Alliance Quest, if your opponent can parry you or you got encroaching stun, you can literally just jump out of it with an evade. It will go on cooldown, it will refresh, and yeah, that's it, really. When Spider-Man 2099 strikes the opponent's block, each wither debuff on the opponent has a 50% chance to inflict an additional rupture. And obviously he bursts the ruptures and he gets an insane amount of burst damage. So he just goes off basically with this synergy. So those two are very, very good to use together. Scorpion and Spider-Ham are another good combo. So Scorpion gains a 25% chance to inflict sting debuffs on light attacks. This means obviously you're stacking up your sting debuffs even more, and you get more power sting damage basically. When Spider-Ham triggers Porker Poppers, he gains 30% chance to inflict a concussion debuff, reducing ability accuracy by 40% for 10 seconds. This is very useful in loads of matchups. You'll find out that is really, really handy, and especially against sort of like Mephisto matchups or something like that. You know, if he wants to use that special 2 and get the Aura of Incineration, chances are he could get concussion and he won't activate it for the rest of, well, not the rest of the fight, but a long time, 10 seconds. And obviously this can be refreshed, and I don't know if it can stack or not, but it can at least be refreshed, so it could be a permanent concussion there. Scorpion, Spider-Man Stealth Suit, and Spider-Man Stark Enhanced. So Scorpion gains 15% perfect block chance while Scorpion Sense is active. This is very nice because obviously you're trying to block a lot, you're trying to parry a lot. If you miss a parry and you take block damage, it's not fun. So if you want to reduce that, so you can either bring in Guardian or you can bring in this synergy for Scorpion, that is. When Spider-Man's Stealth Suit evades or dodges an attack, it also causes Spider-Man's Web Cartridge debuffs to be paused for 3.5 seconds. This is amazing. It allows you to keep a slow on the opponent indefinitely. You don't really have to worry about refreshing it with the Special 2. If you're going for the Special 2 first, you never have to refresh it because you can just keep dashing back and pausing the slow. The opponent will not be able to evade or trigger their Unstoppable at all. I use this very frequently. I have a rank 3 6-star Scorpion and a rank 3 6-star Spider-Man Stealth Suit, and both of them, especially on the same team, are lethal. They are absolutely lethal, so very good synergies to use there. And with Spider-Man Stark Enhanced, refreshes a taunt by dodging back and idling for a second. He inflicts a cowardice debuff on the opponent, reducing special attack damage by 25% for 10 seconds. Very nice. Scorpion, Venom, and Agent Venom. Scorpion gains a Fury passive for each sting debuff on the opponent, increasing attack rating by 10%, and obviously this has no limit, so massive power sting damage. Venom gains 25 power per unique buff over 5 seconds whenever Venom gains a genetic memory buff. More power gain, more power to you. Excuse the pun. When Agent Venom inflicts the opponent with bleed, he also inflicts an Incinerate debuff, reducing block proficiency by 50%. This is what I was saying earlier about Incinerate. And dealing 220% of attack as energy damage over 4 seconds. Agent Venom's supposed to have some really good synergies. I've not found them out yet, so I will look those up. Or if any of you guys know of any Agent Venom synergies, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to find out, because that will obviously help me in Event Quest and story mode as well whilst I'm doing my streams and things. So, right. The Thing synergy. This is literally just, you cheese the entire game, basically. So with Thing in the champion, Once per fight, once Thing would be struck by a blow that would knock him out, his HP remains at 1. He becomes indestructible for 6 seconds. This is a passive indestructible, so it can't be nullified or fate sealed. And any hit he receives while indestructible gives him a Fury passive of 100% for the rest of the fight. That's 100% of his attack. So if he gets hit 6 times, he has 600% attack. It's insane. And you can use this per fight, once per fight though. The champion's Fury effects have an increased duration by 15 seconds. So that's during the Primal Fury. That's quite helpful. With Hela and Angela, so champions have a 100% chance to instantly regain 20% of their HP before they're knocked out. Each living teammate reduces this chance by 20%. Very handy in any combo, but especially with this. Heimdall has a solo synergy, so for all champions except Heimdall, once per fight, Heimdall will intercede on your behalf. The first time you would be knocked out, you gain both an indestructible and an unstoppable passive, which lasts for 2 seconds. So this is, and with the Thing synergy, so he will use that indestructible from the champion synergy, and regenerate 20% of his health. And then if you still die, you have Heimdall there backing you up. So that's absolutely perfect survivability and utility there. Heimdall and Hela or Angela. So for all champions except Heimdall, once per fight, Heimdall will intercede on your behalf, dash back and hold block for 1.5 seconds to gain an infinite duration Fury buff, increasing attack by 15% of base attack. This isn't massively needed. It's just a bonus because you need to have Hela and Angela, and you need to have Heimdall on your team. So you basically, if you feel like it, you can dash back and hold block, and you get 15% additional attack. So that's quite helpful. But this synergy is absolutely amazing for quest clearing. It just does everything. The only problem is if you come up against a Poison champion or a Rupture champion or Incinerate champion, you're screwed because you need to be on very low health and you will just die from damage over time. But yeah, it works. It's very, very good. Right, what have we got next? So we got Knull synergies, right? I'm aware this is a long video, but it needs to be done. So Knull has a solo synergy for all champions except Knull. You gain 2% attack rating for each of Knull synergies that are active. And symbiote champions gain double this, right? They gain 4%. For all symbiotes except Knull, once per fight, Knull possesses his symbiote teammate when they would be knocked out. This is insane, right? So they gain an indestructible and a fury buff, granting 50% attack rating for 10 seconds. So you take no damage, you can tank a special 3, whatever, for 10 seconds, and you get a fury buff, increasing your damage by 50%. And when the indestructible buff expires, you deal 5% of max health, of your max health, not your remaining health, as direct damage to the opponent, I think that should say. I'm guessing that should say opponent. So, there you go. Knull and Venom the Dark Symbiote Supreme and Red Goblin. So Knull gains a Fury buff, increasing attack rating by 35% for 16 seconds when the opponent is immune to an effect. And this has a maximum of 1 stack. These all benefiting Knull, by the way. They don't benefit really anybody else, except for the Gore synergy at the bottom. So, Knull and Anti-Venom, Agent Venom, Carnage and Venompool. Knull gains an unblockable buff during his special 1 and special 2 attacks. You don't need to worry about defensive AI. And nodes like Optimist, I think it is, or something, or Oscillate actually. Yeah, that was it. Oscillate in the armor up phase. Knull Sentry, Avoid or the Hood. Knull gains an energized buff, increasing combat power rate by 15% when an opponent is suffering from 12 or more armor break debuffs. This is absolutely insane because you just go with your special 2 whilst your opponent already has reduced combat power rate, and you're increasing your own combat power rate, so you do multiple special 2s with the instant bleed, and it's just mad. It is insane damage. With Knull and Silver Surfer, Storm and Thor, this is base Thor by the way, Knull gains 15% attack rating while the opponent is corrupted. Nice little bonus. With Knull and Gore, right, so Knull's Necro Sword attacks inflict an additional instant bleed, dealing 30% of attack rating in damage. So 30% increased instant bleed damage. And Gore's heavy attacks grant a non-stacking vicious buff for 10 seconds, increasing the potency of damage over time effects by 20%. That can be quite helpful, I suppose. Got 2 more. So Odin and Mephisto. This is Odin synergies here. So for each living teammate, gain 5% attack rating, and for each knocked out teammate, also gain 5% attack rating. So either way, you're gaining 5% attack rating. Odin and Hela, Angela and Loki and Thor. Okay. So with Thor and Hela rather, and obviously Odin on the team, you get a 5% buff duration for each fight the team has won. So each time you win a fight, the next fight you'll have an additional 5% buff duration. With Loki and Angela, and Odin of course, you get plus 5% buff potency for each fight the team has won. So you increase your buff duration and potency by 5% for each fight you're winning in a quest. So this is perfect for questing. And Odin does a lot of damage himself, but so does Angela and so does Hela. Odin and Heimdall. So once per fight, Heimdall intercedes on Odin's behalf. Dash back and hold block for 1.5 seconds to gain a perfect block buff, increasing perfect block chance by 100% for 10 seconds. Heimdall's indefinite fury, armor, precision, and aptitude buffs gains from charging heavy attack gains plus 15% potency, so that's quite helpful. But Odin and Hela, this is an insane synergy. Try it out against Realm of Legends Winter Soldier. So Odin gains plus 10% attack rating when fighting the final node of a quest. Yeah, that's quite handy. But here we go. So Hela gains twice as many fury buffs while charging her heavy attack. This is insane. You can use this anywhere. You can use it in, except Battlegrounds. You can use it in Alliance War, Alliance Quest. You could use it in Arena. You could use it in story mode, side quest, event quest. It's useful in all forms of gameplay except for those that you can't use synergies, obviously. But it's absolutely mad. You can do sort of Realm of Legends, Labyrinth of Legends, Abyss of Legends content with that synergy and a 6-star rank 3 Hela or something. You know, it's mad. And obviously, if you apply your pre-fights to Hela, your aptitude is going to be boosting her fury damage as well. Finally, we have Penny Parker. So she's really good on her own, but she's really good with her synergies. Even better with her synergies. And she benefits her synergy champions quite well. So Penny Parker, Airwalker, and Falcon, right? So Penny Parker becomes stun immune while the sync shield is active, which is perfect for encroaching stun, basically. Airwalker gains an additional power cosmic buff when winning a fight, so his ramp up's much quicker, and he gets to a special 3 after 2 fights instead of 3. Falcon's lock-on lasts 1 second longer. So you're getting more crit damage, basically. And more ability accuracy reduction. Penny Parker and Spider-Man Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen, or Spider-Ham. Penny Parker starts the fight with 4 Spider Sense charges, allowing her to obviously build up her Spider Sense charges quicker when she does the special ones, and then each of them are converted to and increase your damage of the special 2 from the Incinerate, and then it's converted to Incinerate afterwards. Spider-Ham starts the fight with 4 Spider Nonsense. This makes his ramp up a lot easier as well. It gives him easier access to his degeneration immunities, and the chances to refresh his Polka Poppers, so that's really nice. Spider-Man Miles Morales is granted plus 4% attack rating for each Spider Sense charge and plus 4% personal debuff duration and ability accuracy for each Spider Sense charge. So that's quite helpful for the damage output and utility. Penny Parker and Daredevil, Hell's Kitchen, and Mysterio. Right. So Penny Parker can trigger the parry mastery against non-contact attacks while the sync shield is active. This is perfect. There's a synergy I didn't mention here that I wanted to. When exiting Murdoch Boy mode, Daredevil is granted a Righteous Wrath passive for 8 seconds, which means basic attacks have a 35% chance to inflict an instant bleed, dealing 120% of hit damage as direct damage. So if you're a fan of Daredevil Hell's Kitchen, it's quite a significant damage boost. That's quite helpful. Mysterio's chemical gas is not consumed while inflicting poison with heavy attacks. You got infinite poison damage. Penny Parker and Kang. So Penny Parker gains plus 30% attack rating, but reduces the Sync Shield's maximum strength by 50%. So you're going to start with 50 instead of 100. Quick maths. Penny Parker and Mole Man, Howard the Duck, Venom the Duck. So Synergy members gain 900 attack rating and armor rating against size XL champs. Can be useful, I guess. It's just a bit more attack. Penny Parker and Iron Man, Sunspot and Hit Monkey. Synergy members have plus 7% health, which is useful for Penny Parker, actually. Not so much the others. The other synergy I was going to mention was the Penny Parker and Infamous Iron Man synergies. Because Infamous Iron Man allows Penny Parker to, like, if the opponent is immune to Incinerate, her specialty will do shock damage instead and inflict shock debuffs at the end of the special 2 instead as well. So she's not only limited by Incinerate immunity now, and the same with Infamous Iron Man. If the opponent is shock immune, he will inflict Incinerates instead. So those are very useful synergies there as well. But yeah, thanks for watching. These are basically the top 10 synergies that I found were most useful at the moment that we have so far. Again, leave it in the comments below what you think, whether you agree or disagree, which you think I should replace or remove, and which synergies have you found that maybe nobody else has found yet. If you like this video, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more Marvel Contest of Champions content and gaming content in general. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.